Hi everyone, my name is Venugopal and I am from Team CloudyML. If you haven't subscribed our channel yet, click on the subscribe button and do not forget to click on this bell icon so that you will get a notification whenever we upload a new video. Having said that, without wasting any further time, let's quickly dive into this video. In this video, we'll be seeing how you can study for your college placement. So, study in the sense you might be currently pursuing your second year, third year, fourth year, right? And you might be wondering, like, we are getting this on campus interviews for your internships or your job placement. And you might not be clear with how you can study for this placement, right? So, in this video, we'll be addressing that problem. We'll be seeing what are the different topics that you need to cover before you are applying or appearing for your job interviews, right? So, let us quickly see that. So the first and foremost thing would be cover the data structures and algorithm part. So this is a very much important topic because whenever a company is trying to hire a fresher, they tend to see what is the problem solving ability for that particular student. And this problem solving ability will be increased or it will be developed by solving problems that are based on data structures and algorithms. So during the interviews or during the online assessments for different job roles, they will give you a problem statement and they will try to tell you that you should come up with a solution which is which is solving this whole problem with a minimal time complexity. So that's what they want to see, like in a stipulated time, how much fastly you are able to solve a particular problem. So they will tend to assess that ability from you. So this is like the important topic that you need to cover. So under this, we have multiple data structures and multiple algorithms that are most commonly asked in the interviews. So most commonly asked data structure based questions are these. So we have these arrays based questions, string based questions, linked list, tags and queues, hash table, trees, recursion, DP, and graph. So these are like the most important topics that are asked during interviews. So some companies might ask till stacks and queues itself, and some big companies like monk companies like Meta, Netflix, and we have Amazon, Microsoft, Google. So they might go up to recursion, DP, graphs. So you should be familiar with each and every topic. It is suggestible that you are getting familiar with all the topics, right? And try to solve as many problems as possible, because it's not like you have solved some 10 problems from arrays and you are good to go with arrays. It's not like that. So DS and algo is something that you need to keep on practicing. Then only you won't lose the touch from this topic. It's not like you have solved for 2 months and you will give a break for 1 month. It's not gonna happen. So you need to be consistent in this, and you need to be solving like at least 1 to 2 problems a day so that you are good at this data structures and algorithms. So if you haven't started that, so start right away and try to explore as many problems as possible. So this DS algo is asked for freshers during their domain specific roles as well, or for software engineer roles as well. So if you are applying for SD roles, that is software development engineer roles, this DS algo is very much necessary. It is like the must thing that you need to have, because all the rounds are based on data structures and algorithms itself. So it is a very must. And whenever you are applying for any domain specific roles, let's say you are applying for a machine learning engineer role or you are applying for a data scientist role, so they will ask questions from DS algo as well. But it's not like each and every question. Every company will ask you questions based on this DS and algo. Some might ask you, some might not ask you, and the toughness might be between easy to medium level itself. But you are appearing for any other roles, it might go from medium to high. So it is better to have a good grip on this data structures and algorithms. And primarily, you should focus on all these topics, that is array strings, linked list, tags and queues, hash tables, trees, recursion, DP, and graphs. So these are like the most important topics. And if you want to learn these, there is a CloudyML course that is data structures and algorithms. You can refer that course where we have solved numerous problems on these topics, and those problems are like mostly asked in the interviews itself. So that is like the best source which you can refer for DS and algo. And apart from that, if you have any personal choice, you can also refer that. But just to tell you that whenever you are appearing for any of the on-campus interviews, it's better to have a good hold on the data structures and algorithms part. Now, moving on to the next thing, that is core subjects. So, whenever you are applying for a IT-based job, let's say you are applying for a software engineer, data scientist, any of the jobs, it is very much likely that they are going to ask you on the core subjects. The core subjects, in the sense, we have this object oriented programming, DBMS, operating systems, computer network. So these are like the core subjects they most interviewer ask. So when you are applying for on-campus interviews, they will try to ask questions on these topics. So these are all like the most commonly asked topics, right? So I have faced personally, whenever I was giving my on-campus interviews, I have faced many of the questions from these topics itself. So these are like the important topics that we have listed there. So there are multiple other topics that you need to also refer, but these are like the most commonly asked topics. So you should first learn these topics, then explore the other topics as well. So when it comes to core subjects, so when you're applying for any of the SD role based jobs, so they will definitely ask you from these topics. And whenever you are applying for any of the domain specific jobs, they might or might not ask you on this core subjects. So it is dependent on the role itself. And but whenever the question, like whenever the companies are appearing for on campus interviews, right, so they will definitely ask you on the core subjects, because these are all the subjects that are present in your curriculum. And for those who are not from CS or IT, for them I suggest you should be familiar with the basic concepts of OOPS, DVMS, OS, and CN. So because even though you're not from the CS and IT background, they might ask you questions from these topics as well. And DS algo is completely necessary for an IT job. It's irrespective of um, any of the branch that you belong. Okay, so DS algo is must, and core subject it depend on the company. So it's good to have a good hold on the core subjects as well. So let us move on. The next thing, that is aptitude. So aptitude is something that is mostly asked during the online assessment. So whenever you apply for a job, you get a link for the online assessment, right? So in that link, they might ask you questions on aptitude. So it might be multiple choice questions. So it will be 99% multiple choice questions itself. So it's good to have a good hold on aptitude itself, because um, they will see like in stipulated time how many aptitude based questions you are able to solve. So they will ask more questions on aptitude if they want to access like how well you are able to solve those problems. So aptitude is something that you need to have a good hold. So the two of the sources you can refer is CloudML and IndiaWix. So they have like a good content where you can refer this aptitude based topic, right? So this was something about the topics that you need to cover before you are appearing for your interviews. So these were like the core subjects, DS and the algo, and the aptitude part. Once you're clear with everything, so in your resume, you might have mentioned about multiple projects, right? So it's better to have a good grasp on whatever the topics you have mentioned in the project. So let's say you have developed an application based on machine learning and combined it with web development. So they might ask you questions related to web development as well as machine learning. So you should be familiar like with whatever the topics you have used in this particular project. You might have put some two projects, three projects, or four projects, that your wish. But whatever you have mentioned in your resume, you should be familiar with all the topics that are related to these projects. Because personally, when I faced many interviews, I have seen that most of the interviews tend to go deep into these projects, and they tend to ask a different sort of questions based on your projects. So they tend to see like why you have used this particular approach in your project, and why not you have used this approach. So you should be able to answer those sort of questions based on your project itself. So try to brush up all the topics that are related to your projects. Since you have worked on these projects previously, it will be very much easy for you to brush up these topics, right? So it won't take much time. So that most of the time you should spend on is the core subject, aptitude, and the DS algo part. So those are like the important topics, and deferring these projects won't be a big task because you have worked on it previously, right? So this is what you need to follow. So you need to brush up all those topics before you are applying for any of the college placements, and these are like the important topics that you need to cover. And apart from that, if you are applying for any of the domain specific jobs, so you should be familiar with your domain specific interview questions or domain specific topics itself. So that's all for this video, guys. I hope you got a better understanding of how you can appear for your college interviews, and what are the different topics that you need to cover before you are applying for or appearing for any of the tech-based jobs on your on-campus interviews. So that's all for this video, guys. Let's meet in some other video. Till then, keep learning, keep hustling. Thank you.